Welcome once again, Capcom audience, to another playthrough of the Capcom Arcade. This time it's 1985. I've got 3 games to show you, but first, at enormous personal expense, I purchased a spent plutonium rod, popped it in the flux capacitor and travelled back to the year 1985, where waiting for me is man of the 80s and player of games, Sam Conisbee.
Hi everyone, good to see you again.
Alright Sam, buckle yourself in, strap yourself down, it's time to go back to the year 1985. Alright, and now the dust is settled, you can see we're not only in 1985, but we're in the route in Wild West for Gunsmoke.
Starting off with Gunsmoke, thought it's safest just to go straight to the Wild Wild West.
Now, I know that you're a fan of gritty westerns, Good, the Bad and the Ugly,
Yep.
Unforgiven,
Yep.
Django Unchained,
Tombstone.
and Tombstone. Is this game your Huckleberry?
This game did very much prove to be my Huckleberry. First level, I was cocky. I was, you know, I played quite a bit of Super Stardust, and it's quite a similar sort of concept of, you know, keeping your character out of harm's way whilst trying to shoot things all around you. Then came Master Winchester and this first sort of boss type screen, and yeah, it's brutal. It is a brutally hard game, is Gunsmoke. Much like the Wild West on which it is based.
I got to stress that this is the first time we've actually put the training wheels on in Capcom Arcade. You can put the level of difficulty down, and I think it's about the only way we'd ever come close to touching Master Winchester.
This was on easy.
This was on easy.
Right, well yeah, I got on easy mode. It is a very, very hard game that just, by the second level, is just utterly insane.
It's a relentlessly hard coin guzzler.
Yeah.
I mean, one hit and you're dead.
Yeah, that's it. And literally, like, at a certain point, I know the second level, there's points where the screen just fills up with the enemy's bullets and dynamite and the jumpy, stabby men. And yeah, like Neil said, if you get hit once, that's it.
Favourite power-up?
Oh, the horse. The horse is the favourite power. The horse is the only power-up that's even noticeable because it turns, like, there's something about the part of the horse you can actually see, which to me looks like a bit of a Shetland pony. It added this whole new dynamic of this gunslinger, crime fighter, marshal, whatever character.
His name is Billy Bob.
Billy Bob. So Billy Bob is essentially at this point riding around a Shetland pony as far as I was concerned.
And on that note, it's time to star wipe into the far future. Alright, welcome to Section Z, or Section Z, depending on which part of the cosmos you're from. Here, you take the role of a lone astronaut descending into a base of the Balan Ghoul. At first, I wasn't sure that the Balan Ghoul posed much of a threat to you because they seem to be just autonomous little discs that floated about, but it got real pretty quick.
This game escalates quickly. Yeah, so you're the sporting a jetpack, flying around, the weirdest enemy ship-based thing that I've seen in a while. Like, the actual game itself is brilliant. This was probably the game that I think we spent the most time playing. Yeah, so this is like it's a 2D side scroller.
So, flying a one-man, what must be suicide mission into the alphabetically ordered alien base.
What's he doing there on his own? What? I mean, I understand it's a video game, but the setup of this place is pretty extreme. I mean, at one point you fly through a room that's just like a pinball room. It makes no sense. Like, there are flippers at either side of the room. You go in and it's filled with giant pinballs that you've got to try and navigate. Which I was incredibly unsuccessful at for most of the time. But yeah, he's in there on his own, working his way through. What makes it interesting is, as a side-scrolling 2D game, you can actually turn the character left and right. So you'll have...
Where was that in Gunsmoke?
Exactly. Gunsmoke, someone gets behind you, that's it, game over. Because they won't leave, they'll just stay behind you. And whilst you're focusing on shooting people, that's it, you're out.
Section Z, the joke's on them.
So yeah, Section Z, a lot of the game's actually built around the fact that you flip left and right. So at different points in the game, you'll be going across the screen, but then the next level you'll be going up the screen and the enemies will be on either side of you. So you're constantly having to stay aware of what's going on everywhere around you, which makes it unbelievably intense.
Keeps it fresh and deadly.
Fresh and deadly.
The scent of Section Z.
It's addictive, this one. I found it really addictive because you've got this little marker at the top of the screen, like a little bar, which isn't just telling you which level you're on, but it's indicating how far through it you are. So it's just this constant, oh, I've got to get to the end of this bit, I've got to get to the end of this bit. Yeah, no, there's no... What makes it so difficult is there's no real system to anything in the game. There's no, I mean, most... Well, maybe not most, but a lot of these old arcade games from you know, the late 70s and 80s, there's a rhythm or a technique to avoiding or killing certain enemies. Whereas it seems in Section Z there is just none. For any enemy, there's no discernible pattern that will let you get through it. It's just carnage and chaos at every turn.
Yeah, whilst in Gunsmoke the odds are stacked against you, Section Z is just insanity with a jetpack.
Yeah, insanity with a jetpack is the box quote.
Yeah, when you travel back to 1985, put it on the box for me.
I'll get it done. Don't worry about that. I'll have some posters put up.
Or if you could call it Dark Void Genesis.
That's right.
Alright, your least favourite enemy in Section Z and Y.
The yellow line firing ones. They're like little metal things on the walls which go up and down randomly, completely randomly, and also completely randomly just fire a yellow line across the screen that you can't dodge. There's no way of getting out of the way of it. It's if you're in that path when that thing goes off or moving slightly towards it, you're dead. And they make a sound that it'll haunt me for the rest of my days. Worse than nails on a chalkboard, polystyrene rubbing together, any of those horrible things. From now on, when I hear that sound, I'll just crumble into the fetal position and sob.
Alright, and if you thought Section Z was difficult, it's time to fire up the Star Wipe machine to bring you some of this. And this is Ghosts and Goblins. I would imagine, if you're picking up the 1985 pack, this is the title that you'd be chasing. It's certainly one of the most famous Capcom arcade games. We have the protagonist Arthur trying to rescue his love Guinevere, or Prin,
depending on the situation.
Yeah.
Given the situation at the start of the game, I think it was nicknames.
They were certainly very close. That is until the Demon King Astaroth spoiled everything and ran off with her. And so it's up to you to take on the horrors of the land in an attempt to get her back. And wow, what an adventure this one was.
When this game was designed, I think, personally, someone had either just been dumped out of a long relationship or was generally just feeling hateful towards the world, I think is the only word I can really use. Just a genuine loathing of people when they designed the enemy patterns in this game.
Oh, just everything about this game is just a right tease. The fact that when you die, it shows you just how far away from the end.
Every time as well, every life, it starts with a numbing pan of what you've got left ahead of you and how far you are to the next checkpoint type, the next level or section. It's hard. It's a really hard game, but it is elevated by, I think, the greatest running animation in video game history.
Still to be bettered.
Nothing will ever beat it. It's not beating Arthur's little jog. Look at his little arms go. It's brilliant.
I gotta give credit to Ghosts and Goblins, you know, props where it's due. The sheer amount of enemy types, the sheer amount of pickups you can get.
That's what made it so difficult. Like, the amount of enemy types, I think, is what started to make it really difficult after the first level. Is because you can never, like, you're constantly having to adapt how you play and how you take on different enemies in different sections.
Right. Okay, let's wrap this up. You've played 3 games from the 1985 pack. Favourite game?
That's tough. It's not Gunsmoke, I can tell you that, because that game drove me mad. Favourite game, probably Section Z. I quite like Section Z. Just for the whole constant like switching left and right and where you're facing and the complete and utter randomness of this base that you're in. I think Section Z did it for me.
That's an outsider choice.
Yeah, that's why I let you travel me through time to play video games with you in your flat, because
If you want an unbiased opinion, get a time traveller.
get a time traveller from the 80s as well. Not any other decade. They're rubbish. Ghosts and Goblins was close. Unbelievably rewarding game, Ghosts and Goblins. It really does.
But it didn't have a jetpack.
It didn't have a jetpack, so it failed miserably. Despite the somewhat saucy opening, it didn't have a jetpack, so out.
So jog on, Ghosts and Goblins. Section Z wins.
Jetpacks beat amazing running animations. That's what we've learned today, and that's what the millions of dollars spent on bringing me forward in time has unveiled.
Alright, get to work on the Dark Boy 2 immediately. Alright, and that's all the time we have for just now. Thanks for watching. We'll do another one of these soon. Sam, it's time for me to send you back to the 80s.
Don't send me back to the 80s.
Sorry, it's got to be done.
It's awful.
Last
Everyone
time we did
mullets.
the alternative closing to Wayne's World 2. This time I'm going to magic you back with the Humming Along to Careless Whisper, which was #1 in this year in 1985.
It's a haunting
Thanks again,
and romantic choice. So this is it. You're just going to stare at me and hum. This is... Why are you doing this to me, Neil?